a topic that is taboo in some communities, but not here at Hood Avenue Primary School, where we have been actively involved in the fight against cancer for the last 4 years. As you listen with your ears and your hearts, we encourage you to leave here today and to pass on the news to your sister friends, to your mothers, to your aunts, to your grandmothers. And we also encourage you to become more involved in raising awareness and in fundraising activities for the cure, so that we can all continue to save lives. I would like to invite you to listen to a story from Kathy Warren, who is a faculty member here at Hood Avenue Primary
School. My 25th year of teaching. I taught special ed for 17 years and I'm in my 8th year of kindergarten. I was waking up from a nap in January 2001, and while stretching I felt some pain and a burning in my left breast. I felt the breast and found a small pea-sized lump. I laid there thinking, that's strange. My thoughts started to wander. It couldn't be the big C. I had heard that if it hurts, it can't be cancer. I had small breasts, no family history. I didn't drink or smoke. I ate healthy and I exercised. There's no way it could be cancer. My next step was to see my GYN. He felt the lump too. I was referred then to a breast surgeon. In the meantime, I had a mammogram, which found nothing at the time, and I insisted there was something there. An ultrasound confirmed that there was definitely a lump. For the next 5 months, the surgeon aspirated the lump in my left breast, which means they put a needle into the area and they extract liquid. And that continued from February through June. Every month I went back. It only came out liquid, which meant it was negative. Thursday, July 12th, a needle core biopsy was done because the surgeon couldn't aspirate anymore. The lump was too hard. It would take 7 to 10 days, he told me, before I would get my results. There's nothing like being in limbo, trying to wait for test results. Funny thing, 2 business days later, the call came on my cell phone from the surgeon that I did have cancer. My husband Tim and I were on our way out of town for a week's vacation. The doctor told me to give him a call when I got back. My husband and I looked at each other and we said, we're going back now. Needless to say, we turned around and sat in his waiting room for 3 hours in order to talk to him now and not later. I remember sitting on a leather couch in his office and staring out the window when he and my husband were talking. I could hear them talking, but I didn't know what they were saying. We left his office that night at 7 o'clock and went on our vacation. I read everything I could get my hands on about breast cancer during that time. 2 weeks later, I had my surgery. I went into surgery with the plan to have a simple lumpectomy, but instead came out with only one breast. The doctor found so many lumps that were cancerous once he got in there. The more he cut, the more damage was done to the breast. I got to the hospital that morning at 6 a.m. and I was home by 7 p.m. that night. I had just experienced a drive-through mastectomy. I was stage 2, estrogen positive, and had several lymph nodes removed because the cancer had reached them also. Recovery was hard. I was afraid to look at myself in the mirror. My daughter, who at the time was 18, took me in the bathroom and said, "Mama, we'll look at it together." This began my healing process. Originally, I was to have 4 treatments with 2 chemo drugs, but I ended up having 6 months of chemo with 3 chemo drugs. Every 3 weeks, another treatment I had to experience. The week before the treatment came, I felt great. It was like nothing was wrong. And then for the next 3 weeks, I felt lousy. My oncologist was great. I did have to fire my first oncology nurse. She kept telling me that anything I did was not going to help me. The medication I was on was just going to make me feel worse. Because of that experience, I learned to be my own advocate. The next nurse was a blessing. I lost all my hair after the second treatment. Not just on my head, but my arms, my legs, my eyebrows, my eyelashes. I mean, everywhere. I did get a wig. I tried to find one similar to my own hair, but it itched. I think I wore this 3 times in my 8 months that I've experienced this. So I ended up wearing a lot of hats. I collected approximately 57 hats in 8 months. I wore a hat every day for 2 months. Everyone said at school, "How many hats do you have?" And I said, "Lots." When I came back to school after being out on sick leave, they had a hat party for me. They didn't want me to walk back into the building and be the only one with the hat on. The principal had a hat. The vice principal had a hat. Every lunchroom lady had a hat. Every child in this building had a hat. I was very sick and always nauseous after each treatment. Some other side effects that I experienced were headaches, no energy. I could fall asleep at the drop of a hat. Excuse the pun, no appetite. My mouth tasted like I had metal in it. I was anemic. The spicier and saltier the food was that I ate, the better. I had pain in my joints. I developed phlebitis 3 times in my good arm where the injections were being done. And by the 6th month of treatment, I had lost 16 pounds and I had 87 mouth sores in my mouth. They gave me what was called a magic mouthwash. It numbs the tissues in your mouth so that you can at least drink and eat something. I was not allowed to go to church. I was not allowed to go out to eat at a restaurant. I couldn't go to any movies. I couldn't have a salad for 8 months. No fruit that I couldn't peel, I couldn't eat because of the bacteria that could possibly be on the food. I lost my 2 big toenails. I developed chemo brain. I forgot everything. My husband still says I have chemo brain, but they say it takes up to 10 years to get past that. It took me 3.5 years to get my energy level. I had reconstructive surgery a year after I had the mastectomy, and I also took tamoxifen and later on aromacin as estrogen blockers because the estrogen feeds the cancer, and I was estrogen positive. My saving grace was my deep faith. I had a great medical team, my surgeon and my oncologist, and I had a positive attitude. I also educated myself with as much literature as I could, and I asked the doctors lots of questions. After each oncology visit, I got a slip of paper with my next appointment on it, and for a month, I would write down every question that popped into my head. And then when I went back to the doctor for my next visit, I said, okay, Kath, pull out the questions, because I would ask him all kinds of questions. And it's really important that if you do get any kind of disease or any kind of illness, that you take someone with you. It's really hard to go to the doctor by yourself and remember everything that was said. At least if you have someone with another set of ears, they can help you relate back to that appointment. I had a great support system, my husband and my daughter. My daughter gave me lots of cards, little gifts, and encouraging words. My husband did the same thing, but he also had a sense of humor. He would have to shave my head every Sunday, and he'd always say, I wish I had a watermelon. As the hair would grow back every week, it would pinch. It was very hard, the hair, and if you lay down on the pillow, it actually pinched and I couldn't go to sleep. So every Sunday when he got home from work, he'd shave my head. He had to go to Florida one time and he sent me a postcard with 2 manatees kissing each other. Of course, they were bald, and he made a comment on the back of the postcard. He also said he was going to buy me a very important present. At the time, the Wildlife Federation brought out the bald eagle license plate. He said he was going to get that for my car. My family members would call me, they'd send cards and put me on prayer list. My friends and co-workers brought food to the house, gave me lots of hugs, and my hat party. Everyone at this school, like I told you, had a hat on the day I came back to work. I brought several hats that I wore. I've given several away, but I've kept my favorites. And then one teacher, the morning they brought me, the day after I had the mastectomy, Mrs. Hall, Linda Hall, brought me this monkey. And she said, this is ugly, it was so cute. So as I recovered, you have a drain tube that was very painful, along with the incision. And I would sleep with this thing under my arm, and it helped me sleep better. So this is my cancer buddy. Cancer, it's a difficult thing to accept. No one deserves to get cancer, but I'm thankful for the experience. It changed my life for the better. It made me stop and think about my life, that it is valuable and to enjoy it. It slowed me down and made me appreciate all the little things I do each day. Cancer is devastating, but I fought it and I will continue to fight it. I didn't die from it, but I'm living with it. Thank you.